Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. Wah edition, where today we are going to talk about the cruelest of boys.
This one right here on the front cover.
So one of the things that third edition has been phenomenal at, I mean just super duper duper good, is making armies play to their lore, right? So you've got ghosts that are constantly swooping in. Ooh. You've got
lightning men with big hammers.
guys that are just creeping and diseasing. You've got what else is a great example? Oh, Caradron that are shooting and flying everywhere. You've got all these ones that feel like their lore. Gits. Now, not every, some do it to a greater or lesser extent, and that's fine. Not everything can be perfect. Mm-hmm. But one that has really been a standout in terms of not feeling like it's lore is the Kruleboyz.
4 arrows.
In fact, the Ironjaws feel like their lore. Right?
At least as far as we know.
They're going to get in there and smash. But the Kruleboyz, what is the Kruleboyz lore, Drake?
Sneaky.
They're doing sneakiness. They're hiding in the swamps. They're never letting you know. They're setting ambushes and traps. How do they play on the table, Drake?
Here's my 20 gut rippers. Let's go have fun.
Giant ranks of gut rippers backed up by giant monsters. It's like
backed up by giant arrows.
That doesn't seem right. Sneaky. That's not sneaky.
Although technically, this is technically the final massacre. So.
Well, I think in the lore, right? But when you play on the tabletop, you're just playing some engagement. Yeah. That's somewhere in the world. And so the Kruleboyz should be fighting their normal fights. Yeah. Their normal fighting ways. So Drake and I decided, you know what? Let's talk about how can we make the Kruleboyz more like their lore. And now, importantly, this discussion is not about how do we make them more powerful, because I know that in tournament meta, they're not doing well. It's not about taking power away from them.
No.
Because frankly, on our tabletop, we're not master players. No. But we enjoy playing.
We're enjoyers.
We're master enjoyers.
Yeah.
But because in the casual setting, I think their power level's fine. I don't feel, especially with all the points reductions and things they've gotten, this might not have been true up front, but at this point, I don't feel like they're woefully underpowered. I feel like they can do good work in a casual setting.
Yeah.
But they just don't play like it would be described in the lore. And so we thought, well, how could we change things to make them feel like that? We're not going to try for perfect balance here. Like I said, we're not trying to overpower or underpower. We're going to stay within reason, right? We're not going to give them powers that are like crazy. But what are some ideas to make them feel a little bit more like how they read? What's up, Greg?
I say for this is a complete redo on Dirty Tricks. Mm-hmm. Instead of picking one.
So Dirty Tricks, for anyone who doesn't know, one of their faction abilities is they can pick one, now 2, used to be just 1, out of 4 things at the beginning of the game to affect the game. One lets you trap a terrain piece.
Yep. So
that it takes, whoever moves there gets D3 damage. One lets you make a noisy racket, so the other side is -1 to hit in the first round or something like that. One lets you try to kick opposing models off the board for a round. So they got led away into the swamps or whatever. So they have a couple of those. There's 4 to pick from. You pick 2 now to start the game. Drake, how would you change it?
What I would do is you have a list of battle round 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in battle round 1, you have teleport a unit up 9 inches out of an enemy anywhere on the battlefield, or +1 to shooting in the first turn. And I would either have you predetermine pick your 5 battle round sneaky tricks, or at the start of each battle round, you pick those.
Yes, I completely agree. I feel like getting rid of those. The dirty tricks are not super consequential. They're okay. I mean, it's better than not having them, I guess. Yeah. But being able to pick one every battle round, I think is so good. So every round, it's like, okay, in the first round, we've set up this trap. In the second round, we can teleport our guys because
We've summoned
they actually,
the mist.
yeah, they're coming out of the mist and they're moving through the swamps where you can't see. And then in the third round, our poisons are actually a little bit more effective for whatever reason. And then the fourth round, and then like you said, you could maybe pick them all in advance, or I sort of like the idea of you get maybe 2 or 3 each round to choose from, and each round you decide, ooh, if I'm fighting this army, these objectives, I need to pick this dirty trick. Ooh, I need to pick this dirty trick. I think that would be really cool because each round it would make them do something. It would almost feel a little bit like Nurgle's cycle of corruption, where every round Nurgle's doing something to mess you up. I think that would fit in really well with the Kruleboyz, where every round they're springing some surprise on you.
Yeah.
Right?
And what I would do is if we do the thing where it's predetermined for a game, I would have it so that your opponent can't know what your dirty trick is. So they're like, what do I do? Like, they know the full roster of what they are, but they don't know what you picked.
Yeah,
like,
so you pick in
this,
secret.
or this, or this, or this.
That would be cool too. Yeah, because how dirty is the trick if you know it's coming?
Not very dirty.
Not very dirty.
It's not even a trick. It's smart.
Right, you're letting them know in advance.
It's not a trick, because that way, it could be a dirty trick in itself, where you hype yourself, you psych yourself out so that you think they picked a dirty trick, and so you avoid doing something and let the Kruleboyz do that for free.
Oh yeah, I mean that could even be an option, right? If I can write down on my piece of paper no dirty trick, and then maybe I get some other benefit. Like if I don't do a dirty trick this round, I can re-roll some saves or whatever it is. And then that way my opponent's like playing extra cautious because he doesn't know what it's going to be. Oh, but it turned out to be a third thing. That was the dirty trick. So yeah, stuff like that would be really cool. What else do you think?
I think it's mainly just their faction ability that the dirty tricks don't really match up to what they are. Other than that, maybe one thing I would do is like have 2 things, and you secretly pick 2 different terrain features, and you can stash a unit of Bolt Boys or Beastgear or Killbow in each one, and so they can almost be like
like Loon Smashes or the Beastmen who come from off the board. Yeah, I think that would be cool.
And they can shoot.
So it's not that they're striking down from the heavens or coming up from the underworlds, right? But by the same token, they can come in on reserve later at pre-selected terrain.
And while there, they can shoot.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think another thing that might be interesting is to vary up the poisons a little bit, because right now the poisons all they're mortals on 6s, which is good, right? That is a solid ability. But I wonder if rather than just doing mortals, the poisons could also, or you can say, all right, the default is the mortals poisons, but actually this Bolt Boy unit is going to, for this turn, use the arrows that are poisoned with -1 to hit. Or -1 to wound, because you're at sickly poison. So now it's not going to kill you, but it makes you so weak that if I hit you, you're now -1 to wound me for the rest of the round or the battle or whatever.
What I would
think stuff like that would be really cool, so that they have more ways to degrade you, right? So I'm minusing you to hit. I'm minusing you to wound.
Almost like old Grots, where they were just be impossible to hit.
Yeah. Now you can't go too hard into that because you can only ever get -1, right?
But what I would do is I would make a list of poisons, and you would shoot, because really the Kruleboyz are just smearing whatever toxins their shaman gave them. And so what I would do is you shoot, and if it connects with a 6, I would roll that die again and look what it rolls on the poison chart and see what it does from there.
That could be cool. That might be a little too random. I don't know if they need more randomness, but yeah, that kind of thing where there's different poisons, I think is pretty cool.
Or in the sense, or you could do like almost as a artifact thing. Generic, you could have 2 people, instead of wielding the generic poisons, have a different kind of poison. But as an artifact, you could double that.
Okay.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think one place where the army goes a little bit awry is the Gut Ripper. Because the Gut Ripper is just a dude with a shield
and a spear
or a sword, and who stands out there and just fights. I mean, he's just the same as a Vindictor, right? He's just the same as some gut busters or whatever. He's just a guy that goes out there and fights. And that just doesn't feel very Kruleboyzy. He should really have something to make him different.
So they really, I mean, the scare tactics sort of count, but in their lore, they don't really have anything that isn't in effect for them in the game.
Yeah, I would give him something like that once per round they can issue themselves a redeploy for free without spending a command point.
Maybe what I
as the enemy's coming in to charge them or whatever, they can bounce out, make that charge harder, or bounce over and take an objective. So something like that feels sneaky, I think would be really good. Maybe
what I would do is almost like how the war chanter for the Iron Jaws has a beat you can do. I would do that, but for scare tactics. So they could do the petrifying beat.
Well, I don't know about the beats, but you're right. I think maybe they could do different scare tactics, right? These guys give -1 to hit because they're so scary. But these guys make you anything within 18 inches is -1 to run and charge or something, right? Or because they're so scary. Or these guys, I think stuff like that. But
something.
I think all of these are a good idea. And you know what I think connects them all? Variety.
Yeah.
I think I would love to see the Kruleboyz, and they don't all have to be powerful. They don't all have to be great. But I would love to see the Kruleboyz just have like a big toolbox, right? A big bag of options. And so in any given situation, they have something they can snatch and turn things a little bit in their favor, right? Maybe nothing is great. Maybe nothing in their toolbox is amazing. But they have so much of it that it's all situational. But in every situation, there's one that works, right?
A scheme for every occasion.
A scheme for every occasion. I
stole that right from the Gloomspite Gets book.
Oh, there you go. I was going to say, that sounds good. Sounds like something you'd see from Games Workshop. So I think that's really would help me feel like Kruleboyz on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Is if I'm constantly coming up with new little traps and new little schemes and new little things. That would be cool. I would be like, oh yeah, this feels like how Kruleboyz read in the lore.
If you were to only buff them in one way, would you pick the way the gut rippers work, the way the units work, the way the poisons work, or the way their dirty tricks work? If you could only fix one of them.
If I could only pick one, I guess I would choose dirty tricks because I think that one is that's going to encompass everything. Yeah.
I would do that too.
But I think all those things would be important. So, like I said, I think that most 3.0 books have done a great job of connecting gameplay to lore. But there's been a couple where that's not the case, and one in particular,
unfortunately,
that is very not the case. I really think that now we don't have every army. We haven't played every army.
Oh no,
but
far from it. But maybe half the army.
A little less than half. But with Auric war clans, with Kruleboyz in particular, they just missed it. That is not how the lore sounds. Definitely let us know in the comments below how you would change them, and if you think anybody else needs rule changes to sort of make them play more like their lore.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, again, power level. So we're not trying to make them stronger necessarily.
Even though in the power level, in our talks, we did like super buff them.
Yeah, a lot of those are buffs, for sure. But it's not really about the buffs and how competitive they are. Really, it's about, all right, if you read a book with, you read Dominion and saw how the Kruleboyz acted, and you're like, oh man, I would love to play an army that's like that. How would that be represented on the tabletop? Super interested in your thoughts. Let us know in the comments, and hopefully we can discuss it, because I would love to do that. And then I'm hoping that when 4.0 comes around and we get a new tome, maybe just for the Kruleboyz, separate out those Auric war clans. But even if it is all put together, once we get into the Kruleboyz rules, I would just love to see something that's a little bit more sneaky.
Well, that's for 4.0.
4.0. Any final thoughts?
I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready so hot.
Thank you so much for watching.